Alright, Sony actually put in a super cool ass update, 2.50 for the PS4, and then 3 point something for the Vita, and then they updated the PlayStation app a little bit. The PS3 is kind of left out there in the cold again. You know, the thing is, there's only so much you can do to that system. I mean, there's some things you can do, but then there's really a whole lot you can't. Anyway, this is software 2.50, and I forget the fancy Japanese name. Anyway, so they actually not only relayed some stuff out, but there's actually a couple big things that are in this update that are actually worth sharing and going over. The first thing is actually the suspend mode, and this was something that we were promised since the PS4 was released. Even before then, they said, "Oh yeah, you can be able to do this and that." I'd rather have them delay it and, you know, take time to build it right so it works, instead of launching it on release and having it work like shit, where, oh shit, didn't actually suspend, or oh no, I lost my game, or oh, I lost my save data, or whatever, right? So I'd rather have them take their time. It's like the raids, right? I'd rather have Rockstar take their time on it and at least make it work instead of having it be a super bug fest on launch, right? I mean, think about it. What if these online raids came out in October 2013? That shit would be a mess. They'd just be longer contact jobs. That shit would be no fun. So anyway, yeah, so suspend mode is pretty neat. What it's supposed to do is, you see, when you put your system in rest mode, like prior to this update, before, what it would do is it would close your game entirely, right? So you have to relaunch it and, you know, reload it and everything, right? The way suspend works is it doesn't close the game no more. It keeps it open. So when I put it in rest mode, let's say I'm playing Last of Us on Grounded again, right? Let's say I'm doing that, and I probably will soon. If I put it on Grounded, and I'm like, oh shit. The thing is, the checkpoints are really fucking scarce, right? So I really don't want to have to restart a certain area again, right? Like, you know, closing the game or whatever. So what I do is, I tell myself, okay, I ain't gonna be on the system all day tomorrow, so I say, okay, I'm not quitting the game, so I'll put it in rest mode. So you do that, you put it in rest mode, the power's off like usual, it has that orange light or whatever it is, red orange light, whatever it is, on the system, you turn it back on, and you can load the game right where you had it, and it's actually open too the whole time. You see that little circle doing the little loops? That's how you know it's open, and then you open it, boom, it's right there for you, right where you left it off, and that's the beauty of this too. I love that. I wish I had this suspend mode when I was doing Grounded twice, because there's a lot of areas that, you know, it's like, fuck, I have to restart over and over, and like, you know, yeah, you could pause it and leave it on, but, you know, no one wants to leave the system on the whole time. They'd rather power it off. I would rather do that, right? It's less power consumption. Anyway, the other thing too that's worth mentioning is all these accessibility settings, and that's just on the quick menu, and I guess that's what they call it now. When you hold the PS button, that little menu pops up. It's really called quick menu, right? Okay. And some of the things are laid out a little bit different too. Like, I remember the media player being way down here on the bottom, below power, and you know, right? It's the same idea though. Some icons got changed a little bit. Anyway, so one of the things I like is that there are accessibility settings. Most of them actually don't apply to me, like, oh, I wouldn't need this or that, right? For example, this zoom, right? That's kind of, I don't want to say confusing, but that's kind of not comfortable or natural to hold, but you can do it. So, I mean, I guess if you're like on a web browser or something, you know, maybe you need to zoom it a little bit more than you need to. And it seems like you don't need to hold square in PS button, you can just press it. At the same time, you can move around and zoom. You can use the touchpad too a little bit. If you want to cancel it, you press circle. Okay, so we're gonna disable that. I don't need that. Invert colors, right? So this will be all white or whatever it is. Anyway. So anyway, that's that. Larger text, make the text larger, straightforward. Bold text, same thing, make it bold. For some reason, it wants me to suspend the game, and actually, no, it says closed. Ooh, no, we don't want that. High contrast. Basically, the idea is it lowers, or not lowers, but it kind of darkens the background a little bit, so it makes the text easier to see. Useful to me? No. I mean, I've tried it. I see how it looks, but remember, these are applied system-wide, so I'm not entirely sure how that would look in a game, so I'm not going to try that. The big thing here for me is button assignments. Right next to suspend, it's button assignments, and this is actually really solid too, by the way. And so, basically, it's kind of like being on PC, right? Where you can assign your commands to any key on your keyboard, or even your mouse, right? If you have one of those kind of mice that has, like, multiple buttons on it, right? Aside from left click, middle click, and right click. Mine, for example, it has 2 buttons on each side because it's an ambidextrous mouse, but it has 2 buttons on the side, on each side because, you know, for reasons, right? So I can assign, for example, I can assign a grenade throw to be on the left one, or the forward one, or whatever it is, and then like a special grenade on the back one. Anyway, so that's that. So we're gonna go over button assignments, like I said. Not relatively hard to figure out. So let's say in my game, because of my control settings in GTA, square is combat roll and circle is reload. Well, I want it the other way around. I don't like circle being reload because it doesn't feel natural to me to press circle to reload. It's just like Last of Us. It's R1 to reload when you're not aiming. That feels weird. I mean, I've gotten used to it, but it just feels kind of weird, right? Anyway, so how would I change those controls? Well, it's not really too difficult. So if circle is to reload, how are we going to make square reload? Okay, so the first button you see here is what you're actually pressing, like the actual button on your controller, right? The button after the arrow is what is actually pressed. So for example, if I press circle, it should be acting like I'm pressing square. So if I did this right, the controls should be swapped. And that when I hit circle, it should do a combat roll, whereas square should do a reload. That's basically the idea. And yes, this is applied system-wide so that, for reasons, so you have to actually hit square to back out of these menus when you're here. And when you add it to the quick menu, it's actually much better. If you're gonna do this, I recommend you do it, because you don't want to have to go all the way back to settings every single fucking time, right? You'd want to be able to access it right there, because you can actually deactivate this on the fly, right? So you don't have to worry about, oh shit, I gotta go all the way back right now. You can actually do this right on the fly. Like I said, it's pretty fucking useful. My only problem is because it is applied system-wide and for all your games, and because GTA has multiple control types, or not control types, but like scenarios. Like for example, right? Reloads are great, but it's gonna get applied differently in cars, so that's gonna throw it off a lot. But I don't use the buttons to really change weapons because of the touchpad on here. So let's see, if I pull a weapon out and I just fire a couple rounds for the hell of it. Square should be, yep, square is reload, circle is roll. Alright. Same thing in third person because of the way I have the controls. Same idea. Yep, same idea. Okay. And like I said, because for cars, you know, usually you do find those kind of cars lying around, but I guess the blue rim should have caught my eye. Anyway, whatever color that is. Anyway, so in cars, because of this control setting now how it's going to work is it's going to be circle to change a weapon and square for the cinematic camera. So that's actually going to be pretty fucking weird. And I tried it earlier, just out of curiosity. Get in the fucking car, man. Anyway, let's see. It should be, yeah. Like I said, and you know, like I said, I don't use circle or square, whatever it is now, to change weapons in the car. The touchpad lets me do all that. And the best part is the touchpad lets you go backwards. So I can go from the SMG, swipe left, and go to the handguns, and then if I want to go back, I swipe right. Same with the radios, right? You can swipe up and down on the touchpad to change your station. That's actually pretty good too. I noticed that there was an update too, by the way. 1.09 for the PS4. I have no idea what it does, or what it changed. I think the only thing I noticed is that when you get that mental state warning, oh fucking damn, your alarm, or not alarm, that little warning tip or whatever actually changes. It's now green. I know you ain't trying to kill me, son. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. I'm not even playing that. Oh, weird, because last time I killed a civilian, it was green. That's why I was kind of like thrown off by it. Anyway, so that's really it. If you have any questions, I guess you can ask, like, you know, can you do this and that or whatever. The only thing you can't reassign is the touchpad. I mean, that kind of makes sense why, but that's just one of those things. Anyway, that is it. Stop blocking the cops and lock the player over there before I get killed. And like I say, have questions, ask or something. I don't know. That would be useful. Oh god, see, now I have to get used to this shit again. Look. See, I have to get used to these firefights. Anyway, so that's it.